I heard they want the news. Well, we got it just for you. What's your team? Who your player? Who your crew? I heard they want the news. The spotlight is on you, and if you in the hot seat, it's times two. I heard they want the news. Come tune in to the crew, but we got the hook up just like black and blue. I heard they want the news. Spotlight Sports, what it do? Hit subscribe and that like button too. I heard they want the news.
And what's the motherfucking deal, YouTube? This your boy, Coach Donte. Welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. I got some three good guys right here in the back, but it's a special edition because I got me someone. Shout out to my boy Money Mitch for recommending him to hit him up, and he's also a great person, a great friend, man. So I want to introduce my first contestant, man. A guy who's a resident Eagle fan, who's a Laker fan. They're not doing so good this year, and he's been stressful. He's been stressed out as a Laker fan, but don't worry about it. Coach Donte is here for you. We got my boy Big Play Slay. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Dante, how are you doing, man? How are you doing, bro?
What's good?
And let me cam right quick. Let me cam up. Hold on. I'm gonna come
go ahead, go cam up. So while you cam up, I'm gonna introduce the next contestant, man. My boy, brother, a friend to me, man. We already know we did free agency frenzy. We did not free agency frenzy, but trade deadline together. We always doing stuff together, man. My brother, my guy, Sixer fan, money making Mitch.
I love that intro, man. Just one more day, 24 hours. James Harden's playing for the Sixers in 24 hours.
Yep. I mean, we're going to definitely get into that and some other stuff, basketball.
I only got that for a little bit because of the Nets and Celtics game.
The game. Yep. So, I think you play at 7:30, right?
Yeah, the game's on at 7:30.
So, we got the next contestant, man. That's Money Mitch friend. I hit him up. We supposed to been done this collab together, but, you know, I got busy coaching some football, and he's playing some college basketball as well, man. He's a big supporter. He's a big supporter of Ben Simmons, and, you know, I respect this man because a lot of people don't like Ben Simmons, but he's sticking by what he knows. And, you know, this guy's, I see him on Instagram. You already know he's a pretty much a very good guy. Mr. Terrence Eccles, man. How you doing today, brother?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, man, shout out to all of these guys coming on the channel today, especially Terrence Eccles. So, we're gonna get into some Sixers talk. So tonight, is James Harden even playing tonight? Is he even playing
tomorrow? Tomorrow. We're playing against Minnesota tomorrow.
So, Money Mitch, I mean, like I said again, we already know. What do you guys expect from James Harden, Money Mitch? I'm gonna start with you. What do you expect from James Harden and Joel Embiid? What do you want to see out of these guys, man, going into this game tomorrow?
Pure buckets, man. What else is there? I mean, you got James Harden who can do the step back. You got James Harden who can create his own shot. You got James Harden who's a top 10 player in the league. And the pick and roll with Joel Embiid, I can't wait for. That's pretty much the most exciting thing I'm looking forward to, is that pick and roll and having Embiid down low and have James Harden and the shooters around him. It's great. I can't wait.
Definitely. Big Play Slay. I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to say Mr. Eccles. Slay, what do you expect for tomorrow night? What do you expect to see from tomorrow night's game? Do you think this two-man tandem is going to work, knowing that James Harden does need the ball a lot to be effective? So Do you think he's going to consider, playing through Joel Embiid, or do you see that being a problem in the long run?
I'm gonna put it this way. I honestly feel like they work together because the pick and roll was there. Um, I personally just like want to see how that usage rate thing is gonna work because this year Harden and Embiid have had two like really high usage rates. But I think it's gonna work. I mean, both players can feed off each other, especially with the pick and roll. I just don't know how they beat the T Wolves. The T Wolves have been streaking this year. They've been honestly underrated. So, yeah, man, I can't wait to see how the Sixers look tomorrow.
Yeah, and we got some people in the chat. Michael Guerrero, JC Eagles talk also up on the Lakers and Sixers.
Everyone hates us. So I'm just saying.
We got my guy. What's up, Robert? We got my guy Terrence Eccles. Terrence Eccles, thank you for coming on the show, man. What do you expect from tomorrow night? And what was your first thought about James Harden when you learned about the trade? Who did you thought won the trade? But what you expect to see from tomorrow night? That's basically two questions for you.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for tomorrow. I'm really excited to welcome James Harden officially to the Sixer family and to the Sixers organization. He's going to be a great addition. I think up to this point, Joel Embiid has not played with a player who's offensively talented to the point to the level of James Harden. So having a second option when Embiid has literally been a one-man wrecking crew this entire season. So far, he's my leader for the MVP right now. You're just giving him another top 10 guy who complements his game pretty well. Joel Embiid is a guy who plays well in the isolation situations, plays well out of the mid post, plays well out of the low post. Guy you can kick it out to and rely on to hit shots. A guy who you can hand the ball off to, and not even just pick and roll, but dribble handoffs. That's probably going to be another dangerous thing about this duo. Joel Embiid playing out of the high post, out of the top of the key with the ball in his hand, and James Harden, coming off that dribble handoff or cutting or finding an open lane to just make an open shot. I think it's going to be it's great to have him on the team, and I'm really looking forward to watching him. To answer your other question, though, my first reaction when I first saw it was I was in shock. I wanted to find out all the details first and foremost. I wanted to figure out, okay, who did the Sixers send for him, and who else are they getting in exchange? I would have loved to see, a guy like Patty Mills included in that trade, but unfortunately they didn't get him. I like Paul Millsap, but he's not really going to do much. He's just going to be another backup forward for the Sixers. So, I mean, always good to add depth, especially a guy who's a former All-Star. So I'm not complaining about it. I think, it was tough to see Seth Curry go and Andre Drummond because they've played so well this year. I've really enjoyed them on the team. But my first reaction was I was happy, and then I just wanted to figure out exactly what the details of the trade were.
Now, you like everybody. I'm going to get your opinion, and I want everybody's opinion too. He's different. But, again, you're a big supporter of Ben Simmons. And, when I saw when Money Mins told me that, and I first saw you, I respect you because everybody got a right to their opinion. Everybody got a right to their opinion. So, as you being a basketball player right now in college yourself, I know it's tough for the city to kind of turn on you. But when you're not playing well in the playoffs, you're just going to get criticism. You're just going to hear it from other people. But you're a big supporter of Ben Simmons, and I respect you for that, man. I definitely respect you because everybody in Philly hates Ben Simmons. I got no hate towards the man. It's just the problem everybody going towards is he can't shoot. In some point of the game, you last in the league longer if you can do that. If you can do that shooting, if you can shoot, you last in the game longer. You definitely last in the game longer. Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter learned how to shoot. He improved. Even Jason Kidd even won a championship with the Mavericks because he provided a lot of shooting and defense in that system. So again, I respect you for that. But what give me your take on the Ben Simmons saga? And after him, he can go. Everybody else can get a turn. But give me your take on the Ben Simmons saga. Do you think it was wrong? Do you think he has the right to do it, or give me your take when you guys were getting beat in the second round, or whenever you guys had the best record, you guys got beat. I think you guys got. I don't know if you got swept. I think you guys did get beat when you did have the best record in the league. But give me your take, man. What you think about this Ben Simmons saga? How you feel about it?
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole Ben Simmons situation is such a complex thing because I was a Ben Simmons fan from the jump. You know, I became a Sixers fan back in, I think, 2017. So maybe a year after he got drafted. He hadn't really played yet. But I've always supported Ben Simmons. I'm gonna continue to support him. I really like his game. I like the fact that he's such a tall, athletic body who plays really hard on defense, and he knows what he's good at. He knows that he's going to be the best defender on the court, and he knows that he's a good playmaker, facilitator for other players. And when he wants to, he can be a great slasher. He can get to the rim. He can finish with both hands, and he has athleticism, the length to dunk on anybody he wants. So I mean, when things went down in the Hawks series, and he really got exposed for not being able to provide much during a playoff series, and we had seen bits and pieces of that 2 seasons before that when the Sixers played the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs, or 3 seasons before that when the Sixers played the Celtics, and then 2 seasons before when they played the Raptors in the second round. The season prior to this past season, he didn't play in the playoffs. We didn't get to see him. So I was hoping that we would see some growth. We didn't really see much growth in terms of his ability in the playoffs. It really hurt the team. But I'm a Sixers fan through and through, so I'm not going to give up on my guy. I'm not going to give up on a player like him. I really supported him. I wanted him to come back. I wanted him to improve. I really want him to this day. I hope he improves, because we all know that when you go through, entire city turning on you, the Sixers fans were holding him accountable, I thought at first, and then it just became sort of more hate as it went on, and he kind of brought that on himself a little bit, but because how Sixers fans are, how they're going to react to certain things that you do. Example, sitting out, asking out, not really commenting on things, and not taking constructive criticism well, and the city's going to get on you for that. So his whole situation, I was rooting for this man. I wanted him to succeed. It was too bad, but towards the end, I really was like, maybe it's time to get him off the team because he's not going to play, and at this point, it's over.
Now, let me just add on to that real quick before I have to head off. I got to head off in like 5 minutes. But you and I were talking, Terrence, on your channel and your podcast at Echoes Unlimited Podcast. And it was on the day where Ben Simmons threw that temper tantrum in the practice and everything, right? You hated that. Remember? You and I were talking about that. I sent you the picture of me flipping off the Ben Simmons shirt at Dick's Sporting Goods. So I was like, when that happened, you still supported Ben Simmons to a degree, right? Like it went down a little bit, wouldn't you say?
I was really upset with the fact that he's going to show up to practice and then not really give much effort, not really act interested at all. I think that you're an NBA player. I currently play college basketball, so anytime I show up to practice, I'm there to play. I'm there to get better every single day. So I mean, to have that mentality, like I'm not really going to do anything today. I'm going to slack off and then get kicked out of practice. That's just not something that any good basketball player, any good player with a good mindset does. But at the end of the day, I still support him, absolutely. But I definitely didn't like that situation.
Yep. Slay, your thoughts on that, Slay?
For the Simmons thing, I mean, I'm not too too in depth on what Ben Simmons is going on because I'm not really that much of a Sixers fan. But Ben Simmons,
you're a fan of a team that's worse.
Ben Simmons, if I'm just talk about Ben Simmons, I mean, there was certain situations this year where it's he showed a lot of times that he just seemed like a bad teammate. Like before last year, He was an amazing teammate. He plays really good. It's just a teammate that can get everyone else better. He showed that before in the playoffs. He had his moments with scoring. The Hawks game that really it hurt his reputation, but I feel like just him not wanting to like get better made the Sixers fans like they just hated him at that point. And I would have been too, but that's just how I personally feel like about the Simmons thing.
But can you? How much is this the blame on Doc Rivers as well? How much would you put this on Doc Rivers trying to work it out with a guy that that doesn't want to be there, and he, at some degree, something telling me that he knew he wasn't involved, so he didn't. He planned on to work it out with him, not getting in the huddle with teammates, showing this absolutely unprofessionalism, not trying to get better at practice. What did you think about the media, Terrence, about his teammates coming out and saying, they just focusing on the team? And Joel Embiid's comment saying, "Yeah, we're not here to baby this guy on media day." But how did you feel about the team when they tried to go out and address him and get him part of it? He didn't want no part. How did you actually feel about that?
Yeah, and you mentioned Doc Rivers. After the Hawks series at Game 7 where they lost, and Ben, in a crucial point in the game, he's under the basket with the ball in his hands. He's just spun past his defender, and he passed it to Matisse Thybulle instead of, dunking it. After that whole situation and that whole, collapse, I'll call it, in that series, Doc Rivers was open and honest with the media. I mean, at that point, you asked a man 30 minutes after his season ended if he can win with Ben Simmons as his point guard, and he said, honestly, I don't know right now. It's not like he didn't say no. He didn't say he wasn't fully supporting him, but he said, I don't know. They just lost in the second round to a very young, inexperienced Hawks team with Ben Simmons as his point guard. So how is he going to say that he's able to do that? And I think that people who say like, oh, he left because Doc Rivers didn't support him. Doc had supported him in every way up until that point. And I think he was fair. He's fair in his criticism of him. I think, as a player, you need to be able to take constructive criticism and use it as motivation, as fuel, and as knowledge for the future. So the fact that, people point to that and be like, oh, Doc didn't support him. I was like, I mean, any coach will say that. He'll say that he'll say even worse behind coach closed doors. So the fact that he said that to the media, I wasn't too mad about it. But yeah, I think that a lot of times when teammates and coaches and people say stuff to the media that maybe they don't say to you in person, that can be a little bit of oh, so you say this to them, but you never say this to me in person. I hope that the guys who, talked about Ben Simmons to the media were also talking to him and saying, similar things to him in person, because that's a little bit, not trustworthy. It's not a good sign as a teammate to act that way. But yeah, I definitely think like for the most part, the comments were that the players, I'm just talking about the players and coaches. I'm not talking about the fans. The players and coaches comments, in my opinion, were mostly appropriate.
Okay. Slade, so is Doc Rivers basically saying, because I agree with Eccles, it's not like he's saying no, he doesn't believe he can win with him. It's just, I believe they were a little bit in shock and embarrassed that they lost that series to a up and coming Hawks team, by the way, who's struggling coming out of that coming into the season, who's struggling. But Trae Young had his first struggle that game, and then before Ben Simmons basically passed it to Matisse Thybulle, he ends up making 1 out of 2, and Trae Young ended up putting a knife in their back, with the 3-pointer. He struggled all game before he made that one. But do you feel like Doc Rivers? Was saying no? Had a change of thought, said no, I can't win with this guy. But is that giving you a complete no, or is that giving you Is that giving? Is that frustrating? Is that frustrating? That they lost the series.
Are you like? Are you saying just like him? Are you saying Rivers is like involved in this?
Yeah, is Doc Rivers saying that he can't win with Ben Simmons? Is that what he's saying by
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess so. I mean, Rivers. The thing with Rivers is like he's not one of those type of coaches to where like he's gonna let a lot of things pass by. He's one of those like he has to discipline some of his players sometimes and hold them accountable. In this situation, it's just where a player, it's like he doesn't want to get better, so he can't really do anything because the more he tries to discipline him, the more this player is just going to keep on nagging. And then Simmons, he understood that this city just wasn't the right city for him. It's kind of like the Rager situation. It's just that Simmons just doesn't want to get better at all. He wants to get better in some areas, but like the areas that the Sixers were trying to focus on, as just being a better scorer, Simmons doesn't want to get better in that area. So that's probably why Rivers was like mad in the moment and maybe traded for Harden. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, switching to the Sixers as a whole, Mister Terrence Eccles. How do you feel about this season going in? You know, you guys were playing well without Ben Simmons. You know, y'all put together some good wins. I mean, against Brooklyn and I believe against Brooklyn and Kevin Durant when Durant then was struggling. Y'all got a big win on the road there, and now that you trade away a couple of pieces, how much chemistry plays in this with James Harden and Joel Embiid in this team now that you lost Steph Curry, who's playing very well, Andre Drummond, who's playing very well off that bench. How much does chemistry is a factor when now that you bring on James Harden that has potential of quitting on a team when things are not going as right? And you know, Daryl Morey and James Harden goes way back from these guys right here, my Houston Rockets. How much is that you think will impact losing those guys?
Yeah, I think the main thing about James Harden that people talk about and that people need to understand is that he wants to be in Philly. He didn't ask to be traded to Brooklyn.
Yep.
He asked to be traded from Houston. He didn't ask to be traded to Brooklyn. He really wants to be in Philly.
Yep.
Like you mentioned his relationship with Daryl Morey, in the fact that they've had a lot of success. People forget that just a few seasons ago, when Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, that James Harden and Chris Paul on the Rockets took the Warriors to 7 games
7 games.
with
Yep.
a fully healthy team. That was a series right before I think KD got hurt. They took that team to a game 7, and Daryl Morey was the GM, and I know he has a lot of trust in James Harden. I know James Harden has trust in Daryl Morey. So the fact that he wants to be here, the fact that he's going to play 35, 40 minutes a night and play hard and give you 25 to 30 points a game, like you can just write that in for James Harden at this point, and Embiid will do the same. And then you got guys, you still have pieces. You still have guys like Tobias Harris, who's come on in the past few weeks. You've got Danny Green, who has been streaky, but he's still a 3-time NBA champion, so you can't take that away from him.
Yep.
You still have Matisse Thybulle, who's one of the best young defensive players in the league. And then most importantly, you have Tyrese Maxey, who is looking like a future star in this league every single time he takes the court. Plays so hard. He's really starting to, take the reins of the organization as the point guard, and become that franchise type of player that you can pair with a guy like Embiid. You can put a guy like Harden next to him to mentor him. And I think, the sky's the limit for Maxey as well. So Maxey can be that little 1-2 punch that Harden and Chris Paul had. I'm not going to say that he's the same level Chris Paul. Chris Paul's a Hall of Fame top 75 player in the league. But, he can definitely be a solid piece next to James Harden. And I think that the Sixers at this point have enough to win an NBA championship. I think that they have the stars now. They have the supporting cast, and they really just need to shore up that bench. I was talking to Mitch earlier this week, and he mentioned that the Sixers had signed Willie Cauley-Stein. I think that's a good signing because of the fact that he's not really he's a James Harden type of big,
Yeah,
roll to the basket, block shots, plays can set picks, but not really play out of the post. But you don't really need that with a guy like James Harden, who's going to be
yeah,
dominating the ball anyway. So I
yeah.
definitely think that the bench is probably the weakest part of the Sixers now after Andre Drummond and Seth Curry are gone. But I have a lot of optimism. I didn't expect the Sixers to be where they are right now. I think they're in a few games out from the 1 seed. I think they're tied for third or fifth right now, somewhere in that
Yeah.
area in the mid upper part of the Eastern Conference. But I still have a lot of faith, and I still think that they can be one of the better teams coming into this playoffs, and that they can win a few rounds. I hope.
Yeah.
I think you guys are going to be a good team in the playoffs this year.
All right, Slay. So I'm gonna kick this over to you, Slay. So, you mentioned yesterday. I believe that was yesterday. You don't think the Lakers can make the playoffs. You don't think they could actually make the playoffs. Now, if Terrence Eggers, you want to answer this, I'm assuming that you're a well-rounded basketball guy because you does play the game. So you can take this question in too if you after Slay if you want to. So, do you feel like the Lakers can get to an 8th seed with LeBron James? You say you don't think they can still make the playoffs with LeBron James on that team. I understand Anthony Davis is hurt all the time. He is hurt all the time. I understand that. I understand Horton. I will say it, but and Mr. Eccles is on this board. Well, I call him Horton Fucker. So Horton Tucker. That's what Horton Tucker. Not playing, don't play so well. He's streaky, pretty much. What makes you think why you don't got no more faith in the Lakers? Why? What? Go ahead.
I personally feel like this team has, a chance. I personally think we still can compete. I mean, we have arguably the best player in the NBA with LeBron James, and then you have, obviously AD can get injured here and there. He's starting to get like very injury prone. You have Russell Westbrook, very inconsistent player. We have Austin Reeves, a young point guard that can be good in the future. THC. We don't have the most young pieces. We're like an older team, but I think we have a chance just because we have LeBron. But it's the fact that there's other teams in our like conference that are also hungry for that 8th seed. And there's lots of teams this year, like the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Jazz, teams like that. These teams are going to like seriously contend in the next couple of years. So I personally feel like we won't make the 8th seed, but we have a chance just because we have LeBron James. But there's always a chance. There's always a chance. So I'm not gonna discredit it.
Yep. Mr. Eggers, you want to take an answer on that question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a Laker fan. I don't really follow the Lakers. I am a huge LeBron fan. Obviously
Okay.
he was my childhood. He was my whole
Okay.
entire childhood. My favorite player since I can for as long as I can remember. So I definitely do try to follow his career, keep up to date. But the Lakers can't catch a break. I think Anthony Davis, constantly getting injured, and he plays really well when he's healthy. But I mean, he hasn't really been healthy up late, and it's just unfortunate. And then Russell Westbrook, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. The Sixers played the Wizards last year in the first round, and Westbrook was able to put the team on his back and lead them to one win, and I think Game 4 against the Sixers. So the fact that we don't see anywhere near that same Russell Westbrook that we just saw last year in the playoffs give not really give the Sixers a run for their money, but play really well against the Sixers and on a team where I think Brad Beal was hurt and
Yeah, yeah,
things
yeah,
were going on and it was just him and he was doing his best out there and I think playing in LA might affect him in some way, but I hope for the best for Russell Westbrook. I'm not really a big fan of his, but
yeah,
the Lakers definitely have enough talent and enough experience to go far in this playoffs and make the playoffs at least. It's just a matter of the consistency and a matter of their depth. I think.
yeah.
I
So
agree.
yeah, yeah, that's really important down the line. But yeah,
I mean, how far do you think the Sixers can go in this playoff run? And what team scares you the most going up against them in the playoffs? What teams that you afraid of the most for the Sixers that could give the Sixers a lot of trouble?
yeah. Well, off the bat, I think that the Sixers can make the NBA Finals. I think
Okay.
that they have two top 10 players on their team. And I think that they have one of the best coaches in the NBA. No matter what you say, Doc Rivers is one of the best coaches in the NBA, in my opinion. And that they have a good enough supporting cast to make it to the finals. Now, if they win if they're good enough to beat the Warriors and or whoever makes it out of the West and win the finals, I don't know. I haven't, or the Suns or someone like that. I don't know if they're good enough to beat them. They can definitely make the finals, and that'll definitely be a step in the right direction, in my opinion, for the Sixers.
Yeah.
As for the East and who I'm really afraid of them running into, obviously the Bucks.
Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is probably, in my opinion, he's the best player in the world right now. I think that he coming off of that championship last year, now he knows what it takes to win. And the Bucks, they haven't had the best season so far, but I mean, you never want to count them out. They were down 3-2 to Brooklyn, and they came back in that series and won it. So you never know. Um, as for the other team I am afraid of for the Sixers, that's going to be the Miami Heat. And
Yeah.
they're a dangerous team for sure because they match up well with the Sixers. They got Jimmy Butler, who they can put on James Harden, and they got Bam Adebayo, who they could put on Joel Embiid. Neither one of those guys is to the level of a James Harden or Joel Embiid, but you never know. And Tyler Hero could turn into bubble Tyler Hero again, and you never know.
Yeah.
Victor Oladipo's coming back soon. Kyle Lowry now as their point guard, and so the Heat have improved, and they've shown it. I think they're the number one seed in the East right now.
Yeah.
So Miami Heat, and then obviously the Brooklyn Nets are another team I'm obviously afraid of because of that bad man Kevin Durant, who in my opinion is the second best player in the world right now. Even though I love LeBron James, he's arguably up there with them. But Giannis and Kevin Durant, you can't go wrong with those two.
Yeah, Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers ever.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And like, if I had to choose, like Miami Heat is definitely like at the top for me. They are probably the most well-rounded team in the East. I mean, and give credit to Coach Spoelstra. Give credit to him. He's one of the top coaches in the NBA as well. You got guys like Kyle Guy can come off the bench and score. Matthew Strus who can come off the bench who can shoot as well. And all of this happened with Bam Adebayo. Them was halfway out, and they still was able to win basketball games. And you can't when you got one of the best owners in the National Basketball League and Pat Riley, who coaches toughness over there, who's not involved in tanking, who's not a big fan of tanking. He's in a big fan of winning mode. And like I say, if you're not tough, you can't go over there and play for Miami. And that's what they brought in. They brought Kyle Lowry, who's very physical, NBA champion, probably one of the greatest Raptors of all time. He's going to be in the Raptors Hall of Fame out there, said and done. Then you got Jimmy Butler over there who makes the team much more better with his elite defense and his shot making. And they definitely at the top for me. So Slay, what's your question on this? Slay, what's scare? What? Give me a team that could probably scare off the Sixers and prevent the Sixers from not making it to the finals.
I would probably say the Brooklyn Nets just because of the matchup. I could also see the Heat because the Heat are a very scrappy team. You know, I mean, as Terrence said, Joel Embiid and James Harden are two top 10 players, and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are probably not close to they're maybe a little bit close, but they're not like there yet. But I still think they're a scrappy team. The only team that I really think matches up well with the Sixers would probably be the Nets because they have defense, shooting, scoring. You have arguably the greatest scorer of all time with Kevin Durant. And then you have I mean, this year their coaching has been solid with Steve Nash, I would say. It hasn't been the best, but it's been solid. And then I would also say the Bucks. The Bucks, but the Nets give them the best matchup. I would say.
Yep, definitely agree. So, every like I said, Doc Rivers probably. I mean, you can't ignore the 3-1 series leads that he blows. So I did say he's the most overrated head coach, but he's better than Brett Brown. So knowing that you're a basketball player, Terrence, how frustrating the go from. I mean, Brett Brown. I mean, I believe you guys had the best record in the National Basketball League. At one point, you guys end up still up losing. I believe you guys lost 3 series to the Boston Celtics. Like, is it just Brett Brown getting out coached, or was it the Celtics that much was just better out of all those 3 series that they lost to Boston? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, geez, man. I think 2018. Let me think back. Brett Brown was seriously outcoached
Mm-hmm.
by Brad Stevens in that second round series against the Sixers. And I was so upset because Kyrie Irving was out. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid had just come off a great year. Ben Simmons, I think, won Rookie of the Year that year. And I was super excited. I was so excited to watch them together in the playoffs. I was so excited to see how far they could go as a team. And then they threw up that stinker in 5 games to the Celtics. Al Horford completely shut down Joel Embiid. I remember I was a freshman that year, and just sitting in my dorm room on my phone watching the game, just crying almost. I'm not going to say whether or not I did cry, but I was to that point. I had reached that level at that point. But no, I was super upset with how the Sixers performed that series. And then let's talk about the next season.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2019. They get matched up against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. That's when Jared Dudley and Ben Simmons had their little beef going on.
Yeah.
They were able to beat the Nets and D'Angelo Russell, and Nets had a solid team, but they weren't gonna do.
Yeah, they weren't no threat to the Sixers.
Exactly.
Yeah, they beat them. Y'all guys beat them in 5. Yeah, that wasn't no threat. Yeah,
exactly. And that was Giannis's first MVP season too. So I'm like, okay. It's going to be Sixers Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. So let's see how Embiid and Giannis match up, and let's see if Ben Simmons can help out here. And that year, we've all seen the shot. I don't want to talk about the shot against the Raptors that Kawhi Leonard hit to end the Sixers season. So I'm not gonna get into it. So then we have the bubble, 2020, first round.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, 2020. Oh. Brett Brown.
I feel bad.
That one. They got swept.
That was bad. The Sixers, had some promise going into the bubble. Everyone was healthy. Ben Simmons breaks his foot, I think, in one of their first few games in the bubble. so he's out for the playoffs. At that point, I had lost faith because without Ben Simmons, I didn't think the Sixers had a shot in that year's playoffs, especially in the bubble environment. It's a new environment. You need all hands on deck in order to do well in that game, or in those games. So he went down, and then the Sixers got matched up, of course, with the Celtics, and all those guys who have made my life hard in these past few seasons, because the Sixers and Celtics have always been a tough game for me to watch. But yeah, no, watching that, I was extremely upset with how the Sixers played. Joel Embiid, he kind of was just by himself, but then Al Horford struck again and played elite defense on this man, and we couldn't even muster up one win in that series as Sixers fans. I was not happy with that. You're bringing back terrible memories here by asking that question.
Well, I know how frustrating it is as a fan to watch you guys, get beat by Boston and all those. That made me frustrated as a Rocket fan. Can't beat the Warriors. And the one time we had a shot, Chris Paul gets hurt, and then after that took the life pretty much out of the team. It wasn't that the Warriors, we were right there with the Warriors until Chris Paul got hurt in that game 5. Right there. Mm-hmm. We won the game 5, but then losing Chris Paul definitely hurt the team. And that aspect, then the very next year, we wasn't a very good team like how we supposed to be. But when Kevin Durant goes down, after that, we didn't win that game 5. I knew it was pretty much over. That took the fight out of most of the team. And then, James Harden and Chris Paul has issues with each other. Of course, they're going to choose Harden over Paul at that point in time. So again, that I know how I feel, because we lost 3 times to the Warriors. We on that same path. We lost 3 times to the Warriors. And the one time we were close, a bad luck came in to happen, and Chris Paul gets injured at the worst time, which I thought we would have beat them in 7 if we still had Chris Paul. But I definitely know how I feel. I believe it was one of those years y'all had the best record. I don't know if y'all lost to Boston. I don't know if y'all lost to Boston.
It was this past season.
Which I know y'all had the best record. That was the last year with Ben Simmons. That was last year with Ben Simmons.
With the Hawks. Yeah, the Sixers were the number 1 seed, and they had the best record in the East, and they lost in 7 to the Hawks. No, that was terrible. No, that's inexcusable. I thought that it was a Brett Brown thing in terms of not playing up to expectations in the playoffs. I don't want to say it's a Ben Simmons thing, because I don't really want to place the blame on a player like that. I think that a coach, is more responsible for things like that. But yeah, it turns out that group just couldn't play well together in the playoffs, and I really thought that they should run it back, this coming season, because I thought Ben Simmons was the best option they had until I heard, the murmurs about James Harden. So. Yeah, I think I definitely think this past season being the number 1 seed and losing in the second round was pretty tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and Slay, I'm gonna bring you up in this one. Are you consider trading Anthony Davis after the off season? Are you consider listening to calls due to his injury status?
Oh yeah, 100%. You always have to consider it. I love Anthony Davis. When he's playing, he's definitely a top 10 player in this league. But we also have to think about it in terms of the money and the capital you could get off of Anthony Davis. Other than LeBron, he's the most valuable player on the team we have right now when he's healthy. So it's just better if we get the most I guess valuableness out of him right now, because he only has so much left with the Lakers. He has a lot of talent, but the talent is never on the court because he's never available. He's a very injury-prone type of player. He's out for the next 4 weeks. I think he should return in the next 4 weeks with the foot injury that he has. So that kind of already says it. And he had a foot injury before this. The injuries that does happen to him, it can happen to a lot of players, but it's just so constant, and like it's really starting to get annoying because we never get to see him on the court. I love him to death, but we always have to consider trades, especially if it's for like a haul. And we don't have a first round pick till 2026. And that's mostly because of the Anthony Davis trade. So that's kind of why I would consider it.
Yeah. Terrence, I want to go back to the Jimmy Butler year when you guys lost him in free agency. I think it was a sign and trade. I believe it was. And it was some issues going on in the office between Jimmy Butler, Brett Brown, and Ben Simmons. And even though y'all was still winning on occasionally, and I think Jimmy Butler was on the verge of re-signing with the Sixers, but rumors spread around that I believe him and Ben Simmons wasn't on the same page, or Brett Brown probably was the reason. Can you give me some insight upon that situation on why do you think Jimmy Butler had left the team and went to Miami?
Yeah, no, definitely. I love to talk, about this, and I appreciate the conversation, Donte.
Yes.
I do have to go in a few minutes. I'm
Okay.
going to get dinner with my parents.
All right, that's a bit.
So I know I'll answer this question for sure.
Okay.
The Jimmy Butler situation, that was real tough, because you had to it was hard to navigate because you didn't know if you wanted to break up Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and then you have Tobias Harris in the mix. Who are you going to pay? Who are you going to let walk? You can't pay all of them. You can't let all of them walk at the same time. So Jimmy Butler ended up being the guy who wanted to leave in that scenario. I think they would have rather have signed Butler over Harris. And I think once they figured out that they weren't going to be able to sign Jimmy Butler, and that they, were stuck with Tobias Harris, I think they were like, okay, Butler's 1A, but Harris is 1B. We'll take him. We're happy with that. And we'll continue to build around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. As we've come to learn, the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid experiment, that project just never worked out. It never really came together for the two of them. I think the whole Jimmy Butler scenario where they, did the sign and trade for Josh Richardson, who was coming off a great year in Miami.
Yep.
He seemed very serviceable. And I thought that, I wish they could have ran it back, that entire team, JJ Redick, all those guys, like even the guys off the bench I loved, and I was really looking forward to seeing that team run it back. But, players, they're going to have their own decisions. They're going to have their own ideas of what they want to do. Jimmy really wanted to be in Miami. He really wanted his own team again. I wish all the best luck to him. And he really showed us in the bubble that, the Sixers may have made a mistake.
Yep, because he ended up in the finals the very next year.
Exactly. And gave the Lakers, I'm sorry, Slay, he gave the Lakers some trouble.
Yep.
He definitely gave the Lakers some trouble. So, I love Jimmy Butler. I love his competitive spirit, and I love watching him play, and I wish he was still in a Sixer uniform. But that sign and trade, it's a hard who are you going to pick, who are you going to let go? So, yeah, that's definitely a hard scenario to go through.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, I appreciate you for being on the channel, man. Go handle your business, man. But shout out to you, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. His link is in the comment section, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to my brother Terrence Eccles, man. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Of course, I appreciate it. I really enjoy the collaboration here, and I definitely think we'll be working together again in the future.
I mean, anytime, man. Hit me up, man. If you need to talk some ball, just hit me up, man. I'll come on yours. Or I'm always got time, man.
Good to meet you, man. Good to meet you.
Oh, good to meet you too. All right, I'll see you guys.
Yep.
All right. Yep. So, Slay, how do you feel about going against the Clippers tomorrow night, man? Knowing that you guys don't got a goddamn win against them.
That definitely sucks. But because I hate the Clippers. Like I hate that team with a passion. I see Jonathan Taylor in the chat, who's a Clippers fan, but I personally just want to win against them. You know, the first loss of the year was against them, and that definitely sucked. I really want to beat this team. I think we have the talent to beat this team. We're right around that same like mark too. They're what? They're the 8th seed. So right
Yeah,
now
they
they're
AC.
like the
Yep.
last seed that's in the playoffs in the Western Conference at 30 and 31. We're right behind them at the 9th seed. This will change a lot. Obviously, if we beat them, we'd be 28 and 31. But I just personally want to win against them. Our last win was before the break, and that was against the Jazz. I think the Jazz have been an up and down team this entire year, and they lost one of the best shooters on that team with the injury,
Yep.
and Joe Ingles. So I personally want to win against this team. We play them in the next like 5, I guess, weeks because we play
Yep.
them again on March 3rd.
Yep.
So man, it will be a big monumental win for the season. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. Man, I definitely agree with you, man. Because we played the Clippers, I believe, at least twice coming out of the All-Star break. We played them at least twice. So yeah, man. I mean, hey, man. I just it's easy to crap on Russell Westbrook because how he's playing, but at the same time, I don't believe he asked to be here in this situation. I think LeBron want to show everybody that he could win with them. But it's clear that you cannot win with Russell Westbrook. It's clear that he needs the ball in his hand to be effective. He's not used to giving the ball up to someone like LeBron James or Anthony Davis on his team. It's clear that. No, he had Kevin Durant, but him and Kevin Durant to some degree was able to work for some time. But I mean, I understand you said yesterday that you don't think the Lakers can literally make the playoffs. That's how much frustrated you are in this Lakers team. And when you put on that purple and gold, you expect winning right then, and you expect winning. That's all it's about when you step in that purple and gold. That's why I see when you and Eric are frustrated because you expect better than this Lakers team. You expect when you're in that purple and gold, you expect to win championships. You're not expected to lose in the first round. You're not expected to lose in the second round or even the Western Conference Finals. As a Los Angeles Laker, you got to cherish that uniform like Magic Johnson did, like the great Kobe Bryant did, who expect winning. And if it wasn't winning, they're gonna tell you how you feel. They're gonna tell you how they feel, if you like it or not. So, I mean, what has to happen? Did you feel like they should have made a move in the trade deadline? We already know about the trade that they turned down against the Rockets, which would have got them Christian Wood, which would have got them Christian Wood. All the Rockets wanted was a first round pick. All the Rockets, that's all the Rockets wanted. They didn't want to give up a first round pick, knowing that they got LeBron James. I'm sorry, I have to do it, Slay. I had to do it. They didn't want to give up a first round pick.
Why?
They didn't want to give up a first round pick to get
It's
Wood.
crazy, man. It's crazy. It's
They
crazy.
didn't want to get at them. Knowing that LeBron James. Go ahead.
The thing is, it's like when you wear the purple and gold, as you said, you expect to win, right? But the last like decade, other than the Kobe years, we've been either at the top of the draft, because like throughout the 2014 to like, I guess like 18, 17 stretch, 19 stretch, we've been terrible. Like if you combine the records, we've been terrible in terms of losses. Before that, always winning. But I just personally feel like we lack defense. That's where we lack. So if we had gotten a guy like Christian Wood, which sucks, because Christian Wood is a really good player, it would have changed the landscape of our defense because like it would have helped LeBron and Anthony Davis more because they don't have to constantly keep playing defense. And then the transition offense has to be involved as well. Our best defender is always hurt. Like What do you want us to do? Our best defenders always hurt. And then like you got Russell Westbrook who doesn't want to try. LeBron James, he's 38 years old. I don't know. Like it's ridiculous.
y'all got Slay over here shaking the cameras and all that, frustrated over there. I mean, they didn't want to give up a first round pick to get even Christian Wood, but hey, I say when you got LeBron James, hey man, he always find a way to make them first round picks expendable, but this time he didn't find a way. And he said Russell Westbrook is not the real problem. I don't think he's the actual real problem, but he is a problem of this basketball team. He definitely is a problem. He showed that he wasn't actually the real problem, because what happened that night in Portland, he showed that he wasn't actually a real problem. He wasn't the real problem. He's a problem, but he's not the actual problem for what I seen in Portland. It got so bad.
The biggest problem,
he's not the biggest problem, but he is a problem on the team. He's just not the whole main problem, because he just showed you he wasn't really the problem, because that game he put up, that game against Portland, they had no Russell Westbrook. They had no Russell Westbrook. Now you can't blame Russell Westbrook for the loss in Portland. It got so bad. This is how you know their defense is so bad. It got so bad you had to double team Anthony Simons. That's how bad it got that night.
I don't want to talk about
it. It got so bad that they had to double team Anthony Simons.
He been a bucket this year. You can't even lie though.
He's been a bucket since Little went out. He's been a bucket.
That dude, when he was in IMG, I knew he was gonna be a good dog. Mm-hmm. I've been like really like draft heavy and like scout heavy on most of these younger players. Yeah. Like Jalen Green, I've been knew about him like before like all the hype came up on him. You know, obviously take out the dunk contest because I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. Everybody's talking.
Yeah, but the thing is, I watched him when he was with the Panthers, and that was when he was like 10th grade, 9th grade. And then he really got to like get better. He got better in that 11th grade year, 12th grade year. He was a dog. And then he got to that point where he went to Team Ignite, and then now he's in the NBA. But yep,
he's been playing pretty good ball lately. And Anthony Price said the problem is LeBron James. Do you agree with that? Or
I agree.
Okay,
I honestly agree. I think LeBron is the problem, and not on the court, of course. Whenever you have to play ball, he is one of the best players in the league, arguably the best player in the league. When healthy, he's probably the best player in the NBA, and of course it's close, but he makes it legitimately not that close. But he's the problem because he wants to get players that he knows and he's played with before in the past. And in this league, that can't keep on working because it keeps on evolving. The players are getting better and better every single year. Like this Cavs team is getting better. This Hawks team is getting better. Hornets. In the future, that Pistons team, I'm telling you, bro, it's going to be scary. The Timberwolves, that team is going to be scary. These young teams are starting to become big problems. And that's what's hurting us because we don't have that much young players. And whenever we have young players, we ship them away. I mean, look at Julius Randle. He's not really that much of a clutch scorer, but he's still he was a young player that we traded. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma. If we kept D'Angelo Russell, if we kept all of our players, we would look like this. We would have Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Austin Reeves, THT, D'Angelo Russell, and Lonzo Ball. Imagine how good our team would be. Like we wouldn't even need to worry about cap space or none of that because we would keep on getting players. So it sucks, man. It definitely sucks.
Even Zion, the last 2 years, couple of years before he started getting hurt, was even good. And you guys know you had that first pick, which is traded to the Pelicans, which it became Zion with that first overall pick. Because the Lakers did have possession of that pick. Remember when you traded it from Anthony Davis? That's how Zion got over there with the Pelicans. Got that pick.
I don't know, man. I like
Zion. For the first 2 years, it looked good. for the first 2 years it looked good. But prior into this, what's going on right now? But the first 2 years it looked good. It looked pretty promising with Zion. Looked like he was gonna come out and do so. Ask you a couple more questions. We gonna end up getting up out of here for a little bit, and so we're gonna go back to the Eagles. We're gonna go to talk a couple of Eagles topics right quick. So what give me your mindset on the draft. What do you feel like it needs to happen in the draft and off season? What do you expect us to get in the off season or in the draft? Or do we trade that 19th pick back for a couple of more picks in the second round or in the first round?
All right. What I personally think we should do with like just the first round.
The first round in free agency. If you was a GM, what would you go get in free agency? Improve this team, which starts on March. We don't got long, but what would you do to improve this team in free agency and then go to the draft? What would you do? You're Howie Roseman right now. So what would you do in this offseason in the draft?
This is what I would do. So with that first pick, I would select either Jermaine Johnson or David Ojabo. With that first pick, I would only take Jermaine Johnson because I'm banking on obviously the ceiling. With any player in this draft, you're banking on the talent. Because as they hit the pros, it's going to be a lot more different. But Jermaine Johnson, he really reminds me of Von Miller. And that's kind of what I want on my team. So I'm going to take him first. With that second pick, I'm taking Devin Lloyd. He's a better linebacker than Nakobe Dean, in my opinion. All-around linebacker. I think he's just a better all-around linebacker. And with that last and final pick, I'm trading it. I'm either trading it or I'm taking a cornerback to fill out the secondary. And then in free agency, what I would do is I would address the safety position and the receiver position heavily, maybe an interior guard, because we lost Brandon Brooks, of course. And then maybe another backup tight end. I could see it. We just need to fill out the holes of this team. Our positions that we need to fill out, we can do that in a draft. And then some of the other positions will probably be receiver and safety. That's really it.
Damian, if you listen and you clean out your ears, I never said Russell Westbrook was the problem, the main problem. I said he's part of the problem. He's part of the problem. He's not the main problem. He's part of the problem. I didn't say he was the main problem. He's part of the problem of the Lakers' failures. He's part of it. He's part of it. So I think at some point of this year, I know some people not don't like Jonathan Gannon being back with the Eagles. Some people hate Jonathan Gannon, don't think he's a good defensive coordinator, but the defense was 10th in the National Football League. That's due to us playing, really not too good of quarterbacks, Everybody know we didn't play. Me and you talked about this on occasions. We have not been a good team this year. So that part of the reason why the defense was 10th in the National Football League, because we had to play Trevor Siemian, guys like that, Teddy Bridgewater. We had to play, guys like Daniel John. Like, not we didn't even play Daniel. We played him the first time. We still lost to him. But we had to play
Heineke. Taylor Heineke's ass lit us up. I don't even know how that happened.
In the first half, he did let us up in pretty much the first half. And we had to play guys like Jake Farm, and Longhead Glennon. We had to play guys like that. So do you actually think Jonathan Gannon is a bad coordinator? Do you actually think he's a bad defensive coordinator, or just the players or the system?
Honestly, it's both. Sometimes, like this year, and this goes for really any first-year defensive coordinator, and your defense really isn't filled with a lot of talented players. You don't expect to just go in there and think you're gonna dominate and just have a really good defense. The players have to fit the scheme, and then you have to make the scheme look really good. I think some of the players kind of knew the scheme. Anthony Harris, he was with the Vikings. Eric Wilson, of course, he didn't pan out, but some of the players kind of already knew the scheme. I just personally feel like this year it was going to be an up and down year for the defense because Obviously we played a lot of bad quarterbacks and it made us look good. But I also feel like you could say some of the situations to where like the defense, there's not that many talented players on this defense. So it made
Yeah,
it harder for Jonathan Gannon because how is he gonna run a blitz heavy system with like who was his linebackers? I mean TJ Edwards, Davion Taylor, but who was after that? Like no one, really no one. I mean Alex Singleton, you could say we barely
yeah,
blitz him, so it's kind of like a mix of both. Um, and then the secondary this year, I thought they were solid. Um,
yeah.
it was turnover heavy here and there. I just personally felt like it was more sort of the fact that we were limited on the players on the defense, but it was both.
All right, so I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot right here, because we all know Philly Notion, them all guys. They had that big debate about Jalen Hurts yesterday. If you
Yep,
was probably there, and Philly 500 came out and said,
yep.
yes,
LB.
I would have pulled the plug against Jalen Hurts. I would have did it. Money Mitch already said it. He already made it clear. Philly 500, I don't know how many people made it clear on the panel, but Philly 500 definitely made that clear that he's making a deal. That he's making a deal. He said if it's not Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, then I'm not making a move. I'm keeping him. But I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
if
Okay.
Watson is cleared, because I know you're a Watson fan like I am. I'm a definite Watson fan. We
Yeah.
can go, me and you can go against anybody on that all day long.
Right.
If Watson is cleared or Russell Wilson, we know Russell Wilson is not happy.
Yep.
Would you pull a plug? Would you pull a plug? Even though you don't want to do it, but would you do it?
All
And
right.
would you go? What quarterback will you go? Will you get?
All right. If it was between those two, I mean, in your right mind, you would have to say Watson because he's younger.
Mm-hmm.
I guess cheaper would probably be Wilson, right? I mean, the money side, it would be Wilson. But if it was between those two quarterbacks, it would be Watson just because he's younger, gives me great play, and legitimately, I could get 10 to 15 years with that guy. And I know I'm going to get good play. But like Wilson, even though I'm not going to get I'm only going to get 3-4 years. I'm still getting really good play as well.
Yep.
He has an
Yep.
amazing. He's had one of the worst offensive lines imaginable in the last couple of years. So imagine if he goes to one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I think it will be a lot better for him. No, let him burn. I have faith in Jalen Hurts. I want to keep him. But if it's a deal on the table to where I could get Wilson or Watson, I would maybe do it. I would consider it, but I have to change the defense a little bit. Watson, there's like no doubt in my mind. I'm going for it. If he's there, no doubt in my mind. It has to be a good deal, though. I'm not going to give away four first-round picks, a player on my defense, just for Watson. I'm not going to do that. That's too much. But if it was 2 first-round picks and maybe like a backup player on the defense, maybe a backup player on the offense, I could see it happening, but it's got to be something to where like it's fair for both sides. I can't just give away a load of picks and really good players on both sides of the football and just get one player. And that definitely goes for Wilson, of course, Russell Wilson, because if he doesn't give me a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, I'm gonna be pissed because the Bengals are a really good team. And if
Yep.
they are just one offensive line away from being a Super Bowl contender, so that's where I'm like really, skeptical of with Wilson.
Yeah, man. So shout out to everybody for being in the chat. That is the end of this coach's corner. Shout out to my guy T Eccles. Shout out to my guy Big Play Slay, who always coming on, man. Always coming on. Y'all make sure y'all go sub up to him, man. He just hit over that 1K. Let's get this man even monetized. He deserves it. He deserves it and all of that, man. He puts in that great work, that great content. He's starting to do a lot of play-by-plays. I know
Appreciate
it's frustrating watching them damn Lakers stink it up. Trust me, it's It's just imagine if it was a
This
Rocket.
is what I do.
More relieved.
This is what I do just to block the Lakers games. I just close my arm. Or I could just go on television and then turn up a Cavs game because the Cavs are a really good young team, and I can just watch them and then get away from all that Lakers stress.
I don't blame you, man. But shout out to everybody, man. As we gonna get up out of here, man. Stay blessed, stay safe, man. Wash your hands. If you have, wash your hands, man. And we're gonna see y'all guys on which is tomorrow, the next live stream or the next video, but which is going to be tomorrow. So we up out of here, guys. You got your boy Big Play Slay, got your boy Coach Donte, and shout out to Terrace Eccles, man, for coming on the channel today. We up out of here, Coach. We'll see y'all at 9 o'clock. Portland versus Golden State tonight. I am doing play-by-play. So shout out to y'all. We up out of here, y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Peace.